A wave of tension swept across the Middle East as reports emerged that Iranian forces had launched missiles toward one of Israel's most strategically important military installations, Nevatim Airbase. Iranian state media quickly declared it a powerful and successful strike, claiming their missiles hit the base and caused significant damage to vital infrastructure. What could this attack mean? Nevatim Airbase isn't just any military site in Israel. It's deep in the Negev desert and is considered one of the most critical components of Israel's air force. With advanced aircraft, it plays a key role in long-range missions, intelligence coordination, and strategic air operations. So when this base is targeted, it instantly becomes a huge geopolitical event. Before we dive into what Iran claims happened and how they say it unfolded, why are Israeli and US media telling a very different version of these events? Don't forget to hit the like button and subscribe for the latest updates on global geopolitics. Iranian media started airing statements from military commanders who described the strike as a precise operation against a critical Israeli military target. According to their reports, multiple long-range missiles were launched towards southern Israel, specifically targeting Nevatim because of its strategic importance. In Iran's version, this strike was a turning point in the confrontation. It showed their ability to bypass Israeli defenses and strike deep inside Israel's territory. The message was clear: even Israel's most protected military sites could be threatened. For Iran, this attack was a symbolic win, signaling strength and deterrence. But then, things started getting complicated. Just hours later, Israeli officials gave a completely different account. According to Israeli sources, their advanced air defense systems detected the incoming missiles long before they could reach their target. Israel has a sophisticated, multi-layered missile defense network designed to intercept threats at different stages of flight. Once the missiles were detected, Israeli defenses went into action, intercepting the incoming threats. Israeli officials claim they neutralized several missiles mid-air, preventing significant damage to Nevatim. US media backed up Israel's version of events, with defense sources confirming that their defense systems worked perfectly, preventing any catastrophic damage. But there's still uncertainty about the truth. On one side, Iran claims a major military success, while on the other, Israel and US media stress the effectiveness of their defense systems. This is common in conflicts, where both sides try to shape public perception to reinforce their own narratives. The real story likely lies somewhere in between. To understand why this strike on Nevatim matters so much, we need to understand the role of the base within Israel's military structure. Nevatim is one of the Israeli Air Force's most important bases, associated with advanced aircraft programs and crucial for long-range planning. This base supports multiple squadrons and is designed to handle some of the most sophisticated aircraft in Israel's arsenal. Because of this, Nevatim is considered a critical part of Israel's strategic air power. Iran seemed to recognize the significance of Nevatim when they claimed the strike targeted the vulnerability of Israel's most important military assets. The message from Iran was clear: no location is completely out of reach. But Israel strongly disagreed with this interpretation. Israeli defense officials emphasized that their multi-layered air defense system is designed to protect strategic sites like Nevatim. Once a missile is detected, Israel's defensive systems are activated to intercept the threat before it hits its target. These systems represent years of technological development, tested repeatedly in past conflicts. Israeli officials stated that the systems performed as expected, neutralizing the incoming missiles before any significant damage could be done. Military analysts around the world quickly began examining the situation. Satellite imagery often plays a huge role in verifying conflicting claims. Analysts check high-resolution images of military installations to see if any visible damage occurred, such as damage to runways or hangars. However, it takes time for these analyses to be conclusive. In the immediate aftermath, definitive conclusions remained difficult. What was clear was that this event dramatically increased tensions across the region. Missile launches at strategic air bases represent a serious escalation, and even if the missiles were intercepted, just the act of launching them sends a powerful message: both capability and intent. Regional governments began monitoring the situation closely. Any direct missile strike between major powers like Iran and Israel raises concerns about wider instability. Global financial markets reacted cautiously, as instability in the Middle East often impacts the global economy, even when the target is a military base instead of energy infrastructure. Diplomatic channels have quietly opened. International leaders are urging restraint to avoid further escalation, recognizing that the consequences of continuing down this path could be severe. Meanwhile, the battle of narratives over the Nevatim strike rages on, with Iran focusing on their success and Israel highlighting their defenses. Speed is a critical factor when dealing with modern missile defense systems. Once a missile is detected, decisions must be made within seconds. These systems must calculate the best point to intercept, destroying the missile before it reaches its target. This race between offensive missile systems and defensive interception is a defining feature of modern warfare. Offensive systems are designed to travel farther, faster, and more accurately, while defense systems must detect and neutralize those threats. Iran claims their missiles hit Nevatim. Israel insists they were intercepted. Both sides present narratives that align with their strategic interests. For global observers, the truth will eventually emerge through careful analysis of the available data. But regardless of which version proves more accurate, the event itself shows just how fragile the balance in the region truly is. Strategic military installations like Nevatim are not just targets. They influence military planning, diplomatic relationships, and public perceptions of security. Will this event be isolated, or will it spiral into further escalation? Only time will tell. For now, Nevatim remains the center of global attention. Iran maintains its strike was a success, while Israel insists its defenses protected the base. Between these competing narratives lies a story the world is still trying to understand. As tensions continue to unfold, remember how quickly the security landscape can change. Stay tuned for further updates as analysts continue to examine this dramatic situation.